Driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
Good morning, Thrive, and Happy New Year. This past week, Josh and I spent time in Chicago with our family and our friends, and we even had the chance to take our kids sledding in the snow. We hope that over this holiday season, you've had a chance to make memories of your own. In fact, we'd love to hear about your favorite 2021 memory, so drop it in the chat below. As we look forward to 2022, we want to sing a couple of our favorite songs from this past year, and then Josh is going to jump into our new series, Intentional Asks. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the day with us.
everyone, and welcome to Thrive Online. My name is Abby, and on behalf of our pastors, our staff, and our incredible volunteers, we'd like to thank you for joining us today. As we launch this new year, if you haven't already, be sure to download the Church Center app. This is a great way to stay connected with us here at Thrive Church, and it's also the easiest way to give. Thrive Church exists to make it easy for people to find and follow Jesus, and we're able to do that because of your generosity. For those of you that give to Thrive Church, thank you so much. We could not do what we do here without you. And for those of you that are interested in giving, there's several ways that you can do that. And since you're all joining us online today, you can all click the link in the chat. Or two, you can go to the Church Center app, as we discussed before, and you can give there. Thank you so much for your hearts to give. Now it's time for our new series, Intentional Ask. So sit back and stay cozy on your couch, warm in your camper, or wherever you're at, and enjoy the service.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Thrive Online this January 2nd. Happy New Year to you. We are launching into a brand new series today called Intentional Asks. And I want to start today by thinking, what were the different questions asked in 2021? So I went and I Googled it and I saw what are the top questions, the top intentionally asked questions by many Americans on Google in 2021. And here's what I found out. When people type in the word what, they are often searching for what to watch. We're all looking for something to watch, especially during pandemic area. What do I watch on Netflix? What do I watch on Hulu, on HBO? What to watch? If I typed in the word why, it's just, why don't we? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Which I thought was good. But then the second one on that is, why do women kill? So I don't know why we're searching that out. I don't know if that's women like into crime drama stuff, or that's men saying, man, I need to get my stuff together so that my lady is good to me. I don't know. When you typed in who, people ask the question, who am I? Who am I? I don't know. When is the next full moon? I think it's funny that we're always asking about the moon. Where is my refund? That makes sense because, you know, we had a little bit of government checks coming in this past year. Where's my refund? Where's it at? How you like that? I don't think that's correct grammar. I don't think my English teacher would like that very much. This is a good one. Does Fedex deliver on Sunday? The answer to that is no. They do not deliver on Sunday. Oh boy, is Europe a country? Oh, come on, people. Like, come on, America. Did we really ask this question? Europe is a continent. It is not a country. But I'm glad at least you're asking the question. Hopefully you're getting the answer, and now we can get beyond that. Can you feel the love tonight? Oh, come on. Harkens back to the mid-90s, Lion King. What a wonderful song. And question that my kids constantly ask when we're in the car. Are we there yet? Those are the top questions, the top intentionally asked questions on Google of 2021. And we're saying, man, these are good questions, but are they the right questions? Because good questions, really good questions, help us to make really good decisions in life. Good questions set us up for good decisions. So we're going to take the first month of the year and we're going to talk about what does it look like to ask good questions so that through this next year and hopefully for the rest of our life, we can begin making really good decisions. And sometimes we get caught. We get caught in making decisions. We get caught in always wanting to make the right decision. Is this really the right thing for me to do? Is it right for me to go for this promotion at work? Is it right for me to move my family across the country? Is it right for me to marry this person? Is it right for me to do this? Is this a part of God's will for my life? Is this the correct thing? And often we're paralyzed by what is right. And we're paralyzed in trying to make that decision. Oftentimes we look for signs or we see coincidences and we say maybe that means this is the direction I need to go. Maybe that means this is the decision I need to make. Maybe that means this is right for me. But what if we could just ask some simple, intentional questions? What if we could ask a few things, some intentional asks that could help guide us into the right path. You see, I think that there's 5 different questions that we can ask ourselves. In fact, 5 questions that we'll look at over the next 5 weeks that we can ask ourselves that are good questions that will help us to make good decisions. And it doesn't matter where you ask these questions at in life, whether it's in your spiritual life, whether it's in your financial life, in your relationship life, in your academic life, or in your business career. It doesn't matter where you're asking these questions. All of these questions can help you make better decisions and hopefully improve the quality of your life. So, 5 questions. 5 questions. And if you will do these things, I promise you these questions will help you make better decisions. If you will take these questions and ask them intentionally. Ask them intentionally. But it doesn't end with just asking the question. That's the beginning, to ask intentionally. Then you've got to answer honestly. How do you actually answer these questions and answer them for yourself? Sometimes we're not even honest with ourselves. So we're going to walk through these 5 questions over the next 5 weeks, but we need to answer honestly what it actually means for us. And then finally, we need to act appropriately, meaning we need to take the appropriate steps to live out the answers to these questions that we're asking. We can't just ask the questions and answer them and hope that everything goes well. No, we actually need to take action to these questions that we are asking. Hopefully in 2022, that's what we get an opportunity to do, to ask the right questions so that we can make better decisions, so that we can act out on those decisions and do some great things with this new year. You see, you will make better decisions when you ask the right questions. In fact, Paul in Ephesians, Paul, one of the writers of the New Testament, wrote about half the New Testament. He wasn't a Jesus follower for most of his early life, and then he met Jesus, and that changed everything for him. He's writing to the church in Ephesus, and he says this: "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise." See, it's important to God. It's important in our relationship with Jesus that we ask good questions and that we live wise ways. He says, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Understanding the world that we live in. We all recognize this, that we all drift towards some things that don't necessarily help us in our life. I don't necessarily drift toward health. I like to drift toward cookies. I don't drift toward the gym. I drift toward the couch. In bigger things in life as well, we will often drift toward the evil and not the wise. So how do we get intentional about asking ourselves the right questions to make better decisions, to become wise in how we act, so that we can be a Jesus follower and reflect the wisdom and the beauty of the God that we serve? You see, your decisions are going to determine the direction and the quality of your life. And I think we recognize that our decisions don't only impact us, but our decisions, they have an impact on all the people that are around us. In fact, they have an impact, some of them have an impact on people that aren't even around us. They kind of echo through the halls of our life and maybe have an impact on people that are 2 or 3 steps away from us, or generations that have yet to come to us, as we know that we've been impacted by generations that we didn't even know. Decisions were made years, decades, a century before we were here that made an impact on who we are, because our decisions, they make an impact not just on us, but on so many in the world that's around us. And that's why it's important to recognize that we need to ask the right questions so that we're making the right decisions. And honestly, if we're looking as Jesus followers at asking the right questions, we need to go to God and trust Him when it comes to our life and when it comes to the plan and the path for our life, and then how we ask these questions. In fact, the writer of Proverbs, King Solomon, he's known as the wisest man ever to live. He writes out a great proverb for us to follow. Maybe it's one that you've heard before. Maybe it's one that you've put to memory before. If you've grown up in the church, I'm sure this is something that you've heard in Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6, where it simply says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't depend on your own understanding. We don't know it all. We don't know everything. But seek His will, seek God's will in all you do, and He will show you. God will show you which path to take. Look to God. Follow after Him. He is your creator. He created you with a purpose and for a purpose. And so we can follow the path that He lays out for us, and I promise you, it will be the right path if you follow after God's plan for your life. Because decisions, they're like a steering wheel. Okay, I learned the 10 and the 2 on the steering wheel. I think now they're doing like 9 and 3 on the steering wheel side. So if I hold it up here and you think it should be here, hey, just bear with me, okay? I'm a little more old school than that. So decisions are like a steering wheel in life, okay? And they help guide us and direct us. Now, that doesn't mean that there's other cars, there's other people with steering wheels coming our way that might have an effect on us as well. But those decisions, that steering wheel, that is going to guide the direction and the quality of your life. So how are we making good decisions? And I would tell you that if we're asking the right questions, if we're having some really good intentional asks in our life, then we will be making the right decisions, or the good decisions, the decisions that are going to lead us to the life that we want to live, a life of purpose and a life following after Jesus. We also have to recognize that a reaction is a decision. Sometimes when it comes to our responses in life, in our interaction with life, we're on the steering wheel and we're guiding, and someone does something to us, someone makes a turn that they're not supposed to, or gets too close to us when they're not supposed to, and we respond to that with a reaction. And sometimes we think that a reaction is just, it's what happens. No. A reaction is your choice in how you are responding. Your reaction actually is a response. A reaction is a decision in how you're going to respond. And oftentimes, a response, a thoughtful response, will always make a better path forward than an unintentional reaction. I don't know about you, but in my life, when I react to something, often that is something I'm going to have to apologize for later. When I'm intentional about a good response, when I respond to something in a good way, oftentimes it builds a bridge, it creates relationships, it strengthens my marriage, it strengthens my relationship with my kids or my relationship with the team. But when I react to them, that's often detrimental to the relationships. It's not something that helps me move forward in what I want to do in my life or in what I'm called to do in my life. And this is why this series isn't just about big decisions in life that we know we need to be intentional about, but this series is also about the quick moments in life where we need to avoid unintentional reactions. How do we ask the right questions so that we make the right decisions, but also so that we can respond in the right way and not just react when things happen to us that we're not ready for, that we're unprepared for? How do we get prepared for those things that seem to be coming at us when we're not prepared? I think we can do that. I think we can choose to not react, but respond, but it takes some intentionality in how we set ourselves up to walk through this life. You see, I think we move in our maturity from reacting to things to figuring out how to respond to things, and ultimately that allows us to reflect Jesus. As he pours into us and we reflect him out, that doesn't just happen naturally, it happens with our maturity. It happens as we, instead of reacting to others, we learn how to respond in the same way that Jesus has responded to us. This is transformation. That is being transformed into the image of God. That is being transformed into the likeness of Jesus. That's becoming more like Jesus. Your ability to respond instead of react, that it's like a superpower. The people that do this well, those are the people that you like to be around. Those are the people that encourage you in life. And so how do we learn to do that better? Because learning to respond rather than react, that can change our story. That can change, in some cases, that can reverse the course of our life. So through this series, we want to talk about what does it mean to do that in a biblical, in a godly way, in a way that reflects the Jesus with whom we follow. Never underestimate the power of a measured response. Never underestimate the power of being intentional in how you respond to people. This is how you're going to decide. This is how you're going to live your best story. See, your decisions will determine the outcome of your life. And if you don't like the current situation that you're in, maybe it's time to start learning how to make better decisions. How do we learn to make better decisions? We said it. We learn how to ask better questions, how to intentionally ask questions that will help us to make better decisions. Because the more questions that we ask, that doesn't mean the weaker that we are, that doesn't mean the less intelligent we are. The more questions we ask, actually the more insight we'll have. Another verse in Proverbs that King Solomon wrote, in Proverbs 13:10, he says this: pride, it leads to conflict, but those who take advice are wise. When you take advice, when you allow someone to speak into your life, you will gain wisdom. But when you think you know it all, man, how often I find myself living here, thinking I know better, and how often it leads to conflict. But when I choose to listen to advice, whether I take it or not, when I choose to listen to advice, it helps me to build and to gain wisdom to move forward in life. And I know most of us, we resist uninvited questions. When we haven't asked for advice, when we haven't asked for you to try to build our wisdom, sometimes we automatically get defensive. When someone says something about me or tells me how to do something better and I've not asked them for their advice, oftentimes I can get defensive, put my hands out, like, what do you know? Why would you say that? You don't know anything. I know better. And suddenly this emotional state happens in me. And whether what they said is right or wrong, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm just not ready to receive it in that moment. And instead, how do I learn what it means to be wise? And recognize just because someone is giving advice, it doesn't mean I have to take it and do the thing that they're asking me to do, but it means I can take it and recognize that this is only going to help to build my wisdom around the area or what it is that I'm doing in the moment. That I don't have to choose to react in that moment, but I can actually respond in that moment and say, hey, thank you. You see, this is especially true when we're making personal decisions. Decisions that we think, man, it's nobody's business. They don't need to be speaking into my life. But we do understand that most of our personal decisions affect more than just this person. Many of our personal decisions have an impact on so many that are around us. So when it comes to making decisions, don't do them on your own. Ask great questions and allow people to bring you wisdom. When it comes to making better decisions, we have to learn how to ask the right questions. And what if we had some good questions? What if we knew questions to ask in these moments when we knew we needed to make a good decision or knew we needed to make the right decision? And that's the purpose of this series, is to give us questions to ask when it comes to making good decisions. And you already have a filter that you already kind of ask some questions about when it comes to making decisions. You already have this kind of decision-making grid that includes things like, am I going to enjoy this? Will this hurt me? Will this hurt somebody else? Will anyone find out? What's my out if someone does find out? Maybe these are some of the questions you already ask when it comes to making a decision. And I want to add 5 more questions to that, or maybe even replace some of those questions with the 5 questions we're going to be talking about over the next 5 weeks, so that we can make some intentional asks to make better decisions. You see, as a Jesus follower, this is an important component to your life. If you'll ask these 5 questions that we're going to talk about, if you ask them consistently, not only will you be better off, but the people who look to you, the people who depend on you, the people who you love will be better off. Because our decisions affect more than just us. Once again, we're reminded life isn't just about us. Life is about all those that are around us, all those that we love and all those that we come in contact with. And our decisions, my decisions, they're going to determine the direction and the quality of my life. So let's take our next step and learn how to make some intentional asks. Would you pray with me today? God, we come to you today as we begin this series this month. And God, would come to you asking you to help us as we walk into a new year, God, to paint a new picture for us, to allow us to see, God, that even if we don't have it all together, and we know that we don't have it all together, God, that you can help guide us and direct us. Jesus, would you show us our next steps of faith and our next steps of walking forward in our faith? Would you allow us to learn how to ask the right questions so that we can make better decisions, so that ultimately we can reflect you in a greater way, so that we can impact this world for your kingdom? Jesus, we love you today. We thank you for your presence in this place, wherever we are. Change us. Open us up to hear from you and to be more like you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
minister to your heart tonight. Receive his love. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God all my life. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life, and all my life you have been faithful. Thank you, Lord. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. Come on, lift a shout. We lift you up, Jesus. You have been so good to us, Lord. Thank you.
Thanks for taking time and hanging out with us today. We hope that you felt encouraged by today's music and the message. As a reminder, next week we are back to in-person services, so come hang out with us at 9:30 or 11. We hope to see you there. As you go into 2022, be encouraged that you have a God that is for you and a church that is with you. We'll see you next week.